ARK of E podcast. My name is Noah.
And my name is Gavin.
And we're the Blanchard brothers, back with you here at the end of the year to kick off the first of 3 year-end wrap-up episodes. We are here to talk about our favorite albums of 2023. That's right. And from the top, as is tradition, we will say, fuck Spotify.
Yes,
which is for many reasons, but that's why we won't have any clips in this episode. So from the top, check out our companion podcast, which will be linked in the show notes. You can also search it directly, the ARK of E podcast, favorite albums of 2023 on Spotify, weirdly enough. But again, fuck Spotify.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to kick us off. You want to take an overview. It always feels weird to do the year in music because, we have our own very specific taste. This is by no means a definitive list. This is,
No.
I'll say from my perspective. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Your perspective. Give it to me because I got a question.
We're over Zoom, by the way.
Yeah, by the way.
Sorry for the slight lag in some of the audio, but this might be, best suited for top 10 lists because it can be very one-sided and you can rant for as long as you need to, and I'll shut up. Okay.
Okay.
I was going to say, from my perspective, I say this every year and it's more and more true. Podcasts dominate like so much of my listening time that new music is often hard to come by. So I tend to find, a handful of albums that I really stick with throughout the year. And then I'm always on the back end, I'm struggling to how am I even going to make a top 10? And then I start looking at all these other year-end lists, start listening to stuff artists I've never heard of before.
Right.
Exploring, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of that. But at the end of the day, when I was sitting down to number them, I was like, I got to be real. These are the albums I spent the most time with. And it's almost like chronological that way in some aspects. Some of them are late in the game, but, they still put in the hours, if you will. I've had a clear number one for most of the year. It has not changed, but there's been a lot of fluctuation in the rest of the list. I'm excited for your picks because I don't think we will have any overlap. This is usually where you and I diverge the most.
Oh, yeah.
And this is also where I get to discover a lot of new, cool shit. So, we hope you do too. So, I have my list. I got 2 tabs open. Also got Spotify open, and we're going to build the list in real time.
Yes.
So, I will let you kick it off, brother. Give me your number 10 favorite album of 2023.
Well, no, my number 10 is actually pretty recent, but it's from an old favorite. The album title's called Together, and it's from a Finnish DJ known as Darude. So he dropped a new album this year. He actually came to our alma mater, how do we pronounce that, and DJ'd and played. I think he played Sandstorm like 1 million times that night. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, I was looking around and I was like, what has he been doing lately? And he's obviously stayed in the electronic world. I don't think he's up there with a lot of these people that knew. And I think when dubstep and in your Skrillexes and your Calvin Harris's and all these guys kind of came in, I don't know. I think people kind of look at him as one of the grandfathers or godfathers of electronic music. Certainly, maybe bringing it into the mainstream for certain people in the early 2000s, late 90s. But this new one, it's. I don't know the current state of electronic or dance music, but it feels like you can put on.
We'll say techno specifically.
Yeah,
I think is the specific subgenre that Darude kind of fits into, at least in that early 2000 space. It's techno specifically,
but this
electronic music is a very broad genre. We're going to have a lot of electronic music on here, and definitely. I will often struggle for the words and the subgenre to differentiate, but I'll do my best. Apologies in advance.
Yeah.
Okay, so Darude. All right, do you have a particular track from here? I'm not gonna make everybody sit through the whole albums. You can link to them, but you want to shout out a track or two that I can add to the playlist here?
Um, we could do Closer Together and maybe Breathe. Those are two that I've listened to a lot. I wanted to say before we do jump into this too, I know that Spotify does that cool thing where like, oh, this is what you streamed and whatnot. And this year, for the first time, Apple has made up a list of like, oh, this is the 100 songs you played the most just this year, not like your top 25 listens or whatever. And I went back and was listening to it like, oh, what is this? And realized I do not have a single song on there that came out within the last like 2 years. So a lot of the stuff that I'm like is on heavy rotation, stuff that I'm playing in my car or just listening to when I'm sitting around at work or whenever, or like when I've been painting recently, like it's just random. If it's not podcast, it's old stuff. It's not really new. So like you, I have not as hard because I do try and keep up with something. Some of these that came out, I knew were coming and I was expecting them and I was excited for them. But it is still kind of a struggle to be like, okay, what's new? What came out? And what can I look at to say, yeah, okay, I like this, or it kind of pales in comparison to what I'm used to from this artist. So I'm not going to take the time to like listen to it more than once and like try to get a deeper understanding of it. That's a War on Drugs reference, just throwing it in there.
Yeah, I caught that. I caught that.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right, good.
All right. My number 10 favorite album of 2023 is Aging from Mr. Kevin Drew. It's a solo effort. He is the kind of main figurehead of Broken Social Scene, the Canadian rock supergroup, who I was lucky enough to finally see earlier this year in Asheville. Incredible show. So yeah, I in prep for that, I was like, oh, what have they been doing? What have the extended members been doing? And he put out a solo record of instrumentals called Influences like two
Hmm.
years ago. And I wish I had caught it then because it probably would have cracked my top 10, honestly. Uh, very synth heavy, all electronic. And it was like I think he was working on it during the pandemic, like because it was like, oh, can't make stuff with other people really, and I'm just gonna do a solo effort. So, anyways, the new one, called Aging, is very much informed by a lot of that. So it's very electronic heavy. It doesn't have the full band experience, but it's still very layered, which you would expect from a lot of the Broken Social Scene adjacent production styles. Uh, During that live show, he mentioned that his mother had passed in the last year, and like performed a song for her. And there's a lot of that in this record, and just like it's him hitting middle aged. It's very interesting. Some of it, like really hits home. Some of it's very very personal and not as but the universal in the personal, if you will. And it avoids being too much in the vein of like the singer songwritery stuff because there's the very interesting like electronic element. So check it out, give it a shot. Aging by Kevin Drew, my number 10. Your number 9, sir.
And that's the guy you saw when I had to go give Fife his inhaler.
Yes, that's correct. That's who
Okay,
I was
cool.
seeing.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. I was
But yeah,
just
he's
making
he's
sure.
the main dude. If you've heard some Broken Social Scene songs, you've probably heard his voice here or there. He's featured
Possibly.
on most of their big tracks. But yeah, check him out. Your number 9, sir.
Okay, my number nine was dropped on the 29th of September this year. The name of the album is called Alone in a Crowd, and the artist is Oliver Tree.
Okay.
Do you know who Oliver Tree is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. Did you listen to this album?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Never mind. I was confusing him with someone else, but yes, I do know who this is. Uh,
Just by the look alone, you're like, oh, I know that guy.
yes. I for a second I thought, who's the, who's the fucking dude who's been all over? like my Facebook feed this year. The
Uh,
Richmond, north of Richmond guy. What's his name?
no idea who you're talking about.
Okay,
I
well,
don't get on Facebook, so I
maybe
have
it's
no idea.
dude, it's the Wild West out there. Um, well, okay. For so no, now I know who you're talking about. But
Hmm.
no, I've never heard anything from him.
You haven't.
No, I have not, but I'm
Oh my God.
familiar by the visual alone.
Okay, so I first found out about him last year,
Okay.
and I didn't realize this had come out. But again, I just told you a lot of the stuff I was listening to wasn't this year, and for some reason, like most of License to Ill is on that 100 tracks I listen to the most.
Uh-huh.
And so when I saw this was new, I said, let me go listen to it. And there's just a couple of times on that, the vocals that he has and what he's saying, it sounds like just Ad Rock or Mike D just being really loud and obnoxious in certain notes. Not like he's trying to do a Beastie Boys impression, but
Okay.
that just genuinely just how he's singing and like the what he's doing to it. And then like you watch an interview with him and you're like, oh, he's just weird. Like it's not you can't
I know
it's not like
it's a whole character and
it's a whole yeah,
persona.
it's just a
Yeah.
person character thing, but like that's where he is and that's what he does, and he's just I can appreciate someone who does like really weird art shit, not that tobacco stuff that you show me, like that music, that's on the other spectrum of like I'm gonna be sick,
I don't know
but
why
like
tobacco always has to like catch strays. Like just we didn't even bring him up. He didn't put out an album this year.
I know, but I
I
mean
wasn't gonna
like
say anything about him.
just
It's fine.
visually the art coming from him, it's not bad, it's just on that other spectrum of like I can't do it. Like there's some art I'm like I get it, I'm here
But
for it.
this is the kind of weird that you fuck with, is
Yeah,
what you're
this is
trying
the
to
funny
say.
kind of weird. Like this, it's the wink and the nod weird. Like you would expect it at some point. He would kind of, when no one's looking, he would look at you and be like, "You get what I'm doing." Like it's a wink and a nod. Like you see what I'm doing here. This is all bullshit. I'm just having fun with this. I take it 1,000% serious, but also not serious at all.
Yeah.
And I love when you walk that line. And so yeah, and I mean, it doesn't hurt that the album is actually pretty catchy. I don't think you could ever put it on any kind of pop radio, but like because I think just visually, like what you're expecting, there's no like pop, there's no record label in the world that would pay to like have that song, any of his songs be number one. But I feel like you could play them with like this is kind of catchy. Who is this? And you show him like the bowl cut and the weird, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And that just immediately turns people off.
Right.
But if you can get them to just stay and listen to the music, which I'll shout out. Bounce is the one I want you to put on here. It's actually really good. Like if you just sit and listen with it, don't think about the visuals. Just listen to this, the construction behind it. Because I know he made a lot of the beats, played like 80-90% of the music on this. He played himself with a producer, obviously, but like, yeah,
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. I think
I,
you would like it.
do you have another one you want to shout out? I'm trying to
Let's
do two
two
for
apiece.
the
Okay.
for the 10 to 10 through 6, and then, if you have more for the top five,
Oh, I'll
obviously.
have a couple more for the top five. Let's see. Um, I would say Smile probably be the other one from him.
All right, let's do it. Smile from Oliver Tree from Alone in a Crowd. Okay, let me switch back over to my list here. My number 9 is the self-titled album from All Get Out,
No.
uh,
Okay.
making their annual appearance on my year-end list. Uh, latest record is fantastic as usual, and again, self-produced if I'm not mistaken. They've they've taken the reins on the last two, Kodak and this, and I was listening to an interview recently with Nathan, and they were asking him, like, what is the preferred way for people? Like, how do you want people to take it in the first time? And he was like, headphones by yourself. And I was like, oh, that's literally how I listen to most records that I'm excited to. And they have really, particularly in the last two records, they are so like they're so layered, uh, that some of it does get lost when you like. Whereas they used to be like a crank it up, like, throw these on in the car kind of band.
Hmm.
These last two in particular have evolved into like very intricate, like I keep finding things in them.
Right.
And I'm just continually impressed by the songwriting and the dynamics of the production. They killed it once again. Uh the opener, Trouble, I gotta throw that out there. Sleep Paralysis, which is track 5, and then the closer, Hamel. So that's a good taste of taking you all the way through the album, but give it its proper due, and just take the whole journey. It's quite worth it, my friends.
So should
Uh,
they name the next one Nuance?
what's I don't get it.
Like the
Get it?
nuances of all the music that they put in behind all the layering and whatnot. It was a poor attempt at a joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's a terrible idea for an album title.
Okay.
Uh,
Or new what about nuances? Right?
wait,
They could be
oh,
this.
okay. Wait a second. Wait a
Yeah.
tick. Think you got something there.
Okay. See, we could be A&R guys. I mean, this doesn't work out for us. I
You mean this isn't working out?
mean, I
What
love
are you
it.
what are you talking about, guy?
It's my favorite thing to do during the week. Don't ask me on the weekends. I
I've
got stuff to
recorded an
do.
episode in months and
Yeah.
literally not one message about like, hey, you guys still doing this thing? Like that's what when you hear crickets, you're just like, uh, uh, is there does anybody really care?
Sometimes it
Anybody
is really
really care if
golden.
we come back and give our top
All the
10?
silence is golden.
Is there anybody really out there, guys?
There's that one child in Ukraine that was like all about your music that probably still listens to what he can on a like a iPhone 3 when the Wi-Fi is halfway decent, and he's just waiting for the next episode. So we appreciate him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We sure do.
My number 8, is that where we're going?
Yes. Again, my number 9, the self-titled album from All Get Out, was just dropped like a month ago, and I again, I feel like I haven't spent enough time with it. That's
Yeah.
that's partly why, I just gotta put in some more hours. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, I'm getting the running out of time message,
All
but it
right,
looks
10
like we
minutes
got
remaining.
10 minutes, so
I can
let's
get
see
through
how far
8,
we
and
can get
you should be
through.
able to get through your 8 too.
Let's give it a
All right.
shot. Gavin's
Uh,
number 8.
my number 8 came out back on the 28th of July. It is from a guy who always winds up on my list. The album title is called Austin. The artist is none other than Mr. Post Malone.
Uh, Great
Um,
delivery.
yeah. Uh,
Is this the country album that everybody's
it's
been
kind of
waiting
sorta.
for?
I mean, it's a lot more slowed down. It does really feel like all the stuff he's been doing in the last couple of years, just being everywhere. I mean, he had the collaboration with the Weekend last year. I mean, technically, um,
No features,
no,
sans
yeah,
features,
yeah.
and an ambitious 18 tracks.
I mean, Noah, I told you that I loved 12th Karat Toothache last year in 2022. You know, so I mean, this guy's been busy, but there also has been a lot that like he's I don't know if he has gotten married, but I know he has a fiance. He has a daughter now. So it does kind of sound like this the things that have happened to him in the past year. Maybe we could go as far back as like since COVID happened, but definitely within the last year or two, it seems like he's kind of slowed down a lot more. And it's not so much like I don't know. I said one time when we were talking about one of his albums, I was like, I don't know who hurt this guy, but I feel for him, And now it just kind of seems like he understands, like, maybe I, maybe there are things other than just like partying and hanging out and having fun and getting high and doing whatever I want. Just maybe there's something else here that like requires that like I can put my everything into. And I'll always have music making and whatnot. I can always fall back on that because beats and lyrics and all that, that's his jam. And I like that he's not really kind of like pigeonholed into this thing where he couldn't do something like this and it not be successful. I don't really read like how people review stuff because I don't let that like tell me how I need to feel about it. I'll definitely listen to people talk about their process and how they come up with stuff to get a deeper understanding of how they put together what they put together. But I don't know if this is just as good as any other, or people are panning it, they hate it. But I'm all about any artist that anybody tries to pigeonhole into like one specific genre. I'm all about them being like, nah, dude, fuck you. I'm gonna do what I want to do. It may be this, it may be that. You call it what you want. I'm just doing it because it's inside of me and I got to get it out. And this is how I get it out, you know? So,
Um,
um, yeah,
particularly uh with music. I mean, with movies and with TV, but particularly with music. I try not to take in any criticism of something until I've like digested it myself.
right,
Um, but particularly with albums, like I don't even usually go and like seek reviews unless it's something I'm listening to that I'm enjoying. And then it's just kind of like I'm actively looking for the people who are like, who doesn't like this? Who's shitting on this? Which
right.
again is so ridiculous because arguably of the three mediums we're about to touch on, like absolutely the most subjective, like
Oh, of course.
the most personal. Uh, and again, we'll continue to highlight that. But I mean, pretty pretty lame stream taste there, brother. Post
Well,
Malone.
it was either Post Malone or Jelly Roll, and I felt like Post Malone instead.
Hey, true true to you, dude.
Yeah,
He's
man.
been on your list, I think, like 3 or 4 years.
Ever since Hollywood's Burning, yeah, pretty much.
Definitely,
Because
pretty
I think
much.
we didn't do anything with the first. Anyway,
Did you give me tracks on this one?
no, Chemical
Oh,
and
excuse me. I'm on the
Morning.
bonus edition. That's 18 tracks long. What's the standard on this guy?
Um,
I don't know if the is the
the one I
standard.
have says 18 as well. So who knows?
Oh, okay, it's just one extra song. So it
Yeah,
was
so
17
17,
originally.
18.
Okay. Yeah, okay. What are you giving me?
Morning and Chemical.
Okay.
Probably the two most ones you're more
Morning.
likely to hear, but definitely check out the rest of them.
Okay, and Chemical from the album Austin by Post Malone.
All right, no,
All
you're on the
right,
clock here,
five
and
seconds. Excuse me,
go.
5 minutes on the clock. My number 8 is the original score for David Fincher's The Killer, performed by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Oh, okay.
Did you watch The Killer? We haven't discussed it, and no spoilers for our
Oh,
potential year-end discussion. But
oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
watched it,
There was a lot of panic on the streets of London.
okay?
You know,
Well, we'll
he's a real
save that
charming man, if
because
you ask me.
I think it might come up on some year-end discussion.
Oh, oh, definitely.
So, but we can talk about one aspect of it, which is an incredible score. I mean, they've been killing it for years now. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm continually impressed by the variety. I rewatched Mank. I went through all of the Finchers in prep for The Killer, and because they were covering him on Blank Check, but uh, they start doing the score right around. I think Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I think is the first, if I'm not mistaken, chronologically, and then it's been them like ever since, basically. And I was rewatching Mank and I was like, they did this too. They did this period throwback score. I was like, is there literally like anything they can't do? And so I'm like, I'm primed going into this one. The trailer is like cut to the music, so intense. And then, dude, I mean, well, again, I don't want to do spoilers for the movie, but just so many incredible moments. But I'll just say without spoiling anything, uh, the track is literally called "Fuck," but it's when he screws up and then there's a scooter
Oh, yeah.
for a
Okay.
stretch. Uh, that track is called "Fuck," which is basically like, oh shit, all hell's breaking loose.
Uh-huh.
But again, you listen to that track in isolation and you're like, oh, this is like not what I. It's not this like bomb 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 bomb. It's a different version of tense.
Right.
And then the other one I will shout out is the brute fight sequence. The
Oh, yeah.
score that they do for that and how it is integrated into the sound design of that whole sequence, but just incredible stuff. Um, love it. One of those that like I really hope gets recognition once again. I mean, they've been they've been recognized at the Academy Awards, but uh, I think just an absolute knockout from them. If you have not watched The Killer on Netflix, or if you have and you have not watched it with headphones on, like decent over the ear headphones, I highly recommend it, friends. It was quite a sensory experience. Okay, our recording is going to end soon, so we'll just tease. Gavin's going to be back with his number 7 in just a moment. Uh, anything
Yeah.
you want to say before this ends?
Um, yeah, and if you remember, Noah's talking about the score. And if you don't know what a score is, it's where there's no music, but there's music. Because if you think that the score is like, well, the movie's full of Smith's music, yes, it is. And that is the
That's
soundtrack. And the soundtrack to it, it's just like a Smith's greatest hits or like David Fincher's favorite Smith songs. I don't know. But every Smith song I wanted to hear
I
was
think
in
it's the
it.
Killer's favorite Smith songs,
Yeah, that's
if I'm
true.
not
Yeah, that's true.
mistaken.
I didn't think about it. Yeah, you could call it that. Yeah. I wonder why more people don't cover them.
I wonder if anybody's
There's
done a playlist on Spotify that is the score integrated with the Smith songs as they occur in the film and break up those those tracks on the soundtrack.
yeah, that would
And if
actually be pretty
somebody
good.
hasn't done it, I might do it right now.
Yeah.
Uh
Well, not right now. You're going to send me another link and we're going to start recording again. But,
yes,
yeah.
exactly. All right. We'll be
All
back in
right.
flash.
I will await your email, sir.
Bringing us back from the break. And now Gavin is going to give us his number 7.
My number 7 came out back in September, towards the end on the 29th. The name of the album is called Again, and I don't know how to pronounce this name. I never have. But take it away, Noah. It's the guy that does all the music for the Safdie brothers.
Daniel Lopatin.
Him, yeah. But what's his name? What's
One
his
O
stage
Tricks
name?
Point Never.
Okay, yeah, him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
You just gotta power through it. I don't even know if that's
yeah.
right. You just gotta say it with confidence. One O Tricks Point Never. Yeah.
And I've heard Oneothrics Point Never. I'm just wanted to be like OPN, but I don't know. I don't know.
Glad this is on your list. This is on my honorable mentions.
Okay.
Great record. Great
Yes.
record.
Great
Uh,
record.
yes. Are you watching The Curse? Did you start watching The Curse?
No, yeah, I am. I'm like a couple episodes behind.
Okay. He's like supervising and has done some stuff and also collabed on some, but just, I mean, oh God, music on that is so great. What are some of your faves from Again?
Um, I would say Memories of Music is probably my favorite one off of that, just because I like how that drifts and it's one of the longer ones. And then okay, the title track again, World Outside, either one of those could do, but definitely I would say pick my real pick is Memories of Music, but any of the other ones on there you could put on there. And again, it's one of those where like I don't know, um, caveat, which we could get into later if you want. I finally made Beck sit down and watch Uncut Gems.
Okay.
Yeah,
How'd that
and
go?
she was really mad at the end of it. She
Okay.
was pretty pissed off. And
Well,
so the next night I was like, you should watch Good Time. She's like, I don't trust you. I was like, let's just watch Good Time. I think you'll like Good Time a lot more. And she's like, okay, like I like this one. I was like, okay, good. But yeah, we could talk more about that during movies. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
well, staying in that new age vein, which some of
Right.
that stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
My number 7 is New Blue Sun from Andre 3000. Have you listened
Oh
to this record, brother?
no, I've heard a lot of people talk
The
about it. I have not sat down and
of
listened to it.
course the much discussed flute centric woodwind centric album from Mr. Andre 3000. The return to album making from Andre 3000.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, it is what it is, man. It is as advertised. It's, you know, very lengthy tracks. He, I think he intentionally, went out and actually talked about it. And he talked about how he didn't really want to do any press for it. He wanted to just kind of put it out there. But it was a very quick rollout between the time that we knew it existed and the time that it actually was released, like less than a month, I think. And
Hmm.
there was kind of one big GQ cover story. And he's since gone on, like he's actually on Questlove's podcast this week. I need to check that out. But he talked about how he felt it was almost like it would be a disservice to what he was doing to not talk about there and go out and sell it a little bit because he's excited about it and he wants people to listen to it. But at the same time, that means like re-engaging with a lot of, he's going to get a lot of questions, et cetera, et cetera. And also feeling like, well, this is like totally new territory for me. So what you hear within the tracks is like sometimes him picking up an instrument that it's like, well, I kind of know how to play woodwinds, but like everyone's different. Some of them
Hmm.
are digital woodwinds, some of them are like, just different things he's tooling around with in the studio. And he's basically got a bunch of other like very talented ambient musicians like around him. And then within that, I mean, it's jazzy in as much as it's incredibly free form,
Hmm.
but not in that there are no solos really. It doesn't go off and it's not in the traditional set. There's a sense of discovery to it where it's like tracks build, but like, there's flutters of stuff where it's like, oh, I kind of feel like it's going this way, but like, maybe, something takes me somewhere else. It's very organic. It's very in the moment, which is what they were trying to capture. It feels like a live album essentially. And when he tours this, I'd be very excited to actually see it because the intent is basically we're gonna play like the instruments that were featured on this track, but like
We don't know if it's gonna be.
it's
Yeah,
not gonna be note
that's.
for note. We're gonna like kind of recreate it in the moment. It's gonna be fresh, and every night will be different essentially. Um, so to you know to that extent, most tracks are over like 10 minutes and you get kind of lost in them and I the way I experienced the album was track by track over the course of a couple days. Honestly, it was like, okay, I got my ride to work, I'm going to listen to one in isolation, and then when I basically completed the journey track by track, then I when I had time, I sat down and listened to it start to finish. And for the most part, it's just an incredibly relaxing journey. It's great meditation music, just great ambient music, whatever. Uh, but yeah, obviously there was always going to be people who were disappointed that it wasn't, a rap record. But what are you going to do, man? I'm just glad we got something new, and it also happens to coincide with like a lot of my interests these days as far as music goes, where it's just like I don't need lyrics. I don't need the
Mhm.
songwriting. I just need the vibes. I'm good
I
with
can't tell
just the
you
vibes.
how many songs to me have been ruined by lyrics. Not that the lyrics are bad, but it's just like I just want you to keep playing what you're playing, and it is completely left field. But like, have you ever heard "Hustle" music by Lil Wayne?
Yes, yes, I have.
Yeah, so like that, just whatever that is. I don't know if that's an original. I don't know if that's a sample. I don't need any of the music or the lyrics from that. I just want to hear that on repeat. Same thing with like "Explosive" by Corrupt and back in the day. Like I just want that. There's just some things I'm just like, and I know there's ways to do it. I'm sure there's software you can pull out the vocals and all that, but it's like I just you know as of late, it's been like, I don't need, I appreciate your lyrics. I appreciate what you're doing. But some of the reasons why I like this is just because I like the arrangement of instruments. It invokes something in me that allows me to just get past or like come to terms with whatever's going on, whatever my day is, whatever I'm thinking, and I can just sit with it and enjoy it. And sometimes people can ruin it with lyrics. Sometimes it's just great. But yeah, you're right. as a whole, music completely subjective, all to the artist. But I definitely want to listen to it. I have not had the time to actually just sit and give it a proper listen, which is I know I need to do that. So
This is one of the ones I'll be throwing on there. This is called the slang word for pussy rolls off the tongue with far better ease than, sorry, it's scrolling very slowly on Spotify.
it's
The
the
slang word for pussy rolls off the tongue with far better ease than the proper word, vagina,
no. So
period.
he had
Wait,
Panic
I'm
at the
not done.
Disco.
I'm not done.
Wow.
Do you agree?
So he had the guys from Panic at the Disco help him write the song titles. Is that what happened?
He wanted them to be very expressive because there's no words on the album.
Yeah. So you're supposed
But
to
yeah,
like listen to the music and think about the title as you're listening to it to like that'd be interesting.
if you want to. And then the closer, which I'll also throw on the playlist, Dreams Once Buried Beneath the Dungeon Floor. Slowly sprout into undying gardens.
Wow.
Okay. Sorry, literally, I couldn't
No,
remember the
it's
names of
fine.
any of them, and they take forever to scroll through on Spotify.
No,
I
it's
was
all
not
good.
trying to be funny or poke fun at them at all. I actually think they're
I
quite
was
great.
trying to add comedic effect. My apologies.
I know you were. No, I appreciate it. You got to take the piss out of things.
Just a little bit.
It's the only way to live. It's the only way to
Hmm.
fly. Okay. New Blue Sun, Andre 3000, my number seven. Your number six, sir.
This album came out on our father's birthday, and
Our
it
father's birthday.
Sean Connery's birthday. Um.
Before there
Uh.
was a Scottish mob.
um. Oh, sorry. The album
Did
title
I
is
just
called
derail
Hold.
everything?
Yes. Well, because I started thinking about the fact that like when we were watching
Did you get the
Uncut
thing I
Gems,
sent you that was the resume ask, what's your biggest strength? I can recite
like,
this from memory, and
yes,
it's the entire opening sequence of The Pest.
yes.
Okay, I was making sure that made your way to. I never got a reaction, but that
Well,
was
it's no
my
because
favorite thing
okay,
I've seen on the internet in a very
that
long
was
time.
so. I have constantly tried to get just real quick. I've tried to get Becky to watch. I think you should leave, and she just does. She's like, "It. I don't get it. It's just it's stupid.
It's not for
It's not
everyone.
funny. It isn't." And so I was like, "Oh well, let me." You sent me that, and I was like, "Oh, have you ever seen The Pest?" And she was like, "I don't think so." So I showed her the trailer, and she was like, and
What
she
the
was kind of looking at it,
fuck
and I was
is
like,
that?
"Is it's kind of like I think you should leave, right?" She goes, "Yeah, it looks stupid. Like it just doesn't look funny to me." And I'm like, "I think you should give it a chance." I said, "No," and I watched this like literally every day for the first 6 or 7 months we came back from Japan. It was like one of the only VHS tapes we had, and we know it like
John
from memory.
Leguizamo,
Yeah,
the king of
like
the mountain.
we we're surprised that he is not
Jim Carrey licks his boot in our household.
exactly. Yeah, it's all about the freak. It just freakazoid him. It just we're surprised that he's not
The
like
freaking Puerto Rican.
yeah. We're surprised he's not like the
The
leading
lad
man in
freak.
everything. Yeah, you know.
Okay.
So anyway,
Right.
anyway, the album title is called Hold, and the artist person band it's an artist, but it's Wild Nothing is the name of the person who is also I don't think he has like a band. I think it's just a dude. But anyway, it's Wild Nothing. The album is Hold.
Another very good record that I enjoyed. Also in
Oh,
my honorable mentions.
okay. And
Uh
am I correct? You knew about them before or after I brought them up?
they I mean, believe it or not, because of my taste, Spotify recommended them to me quite a while ago.
Well,
There's a
see,
lot of
I thought you might have
crossover.
heard. Well, see, I thought you might have heard it like it's definitely like this is in a cafe or an American Eagle or some sort of store in Mount Pleasant during the daytime kind of thing. Some of this stuff is. I felt at least some of the others. That's where I heard it. I heard it in American Eagle a long time ago. The first song, Paradise, long time ago. But like, I remember bringing it up one time and I played something. You're like, oh okay, and I don't know if you'd heard of them before or not. And so again, it's one of those like I do have a set list of people who like I'm interested in, but I know like I don't. I wish you could like set things on Apple Music to be like, you message me, you throw me a thing whenever like this person has something new.
They don't
It
have any
started.
kind of follow feature the way
They
Spotify
kind
does.
they kind of do because I have noticed it. I think they do it by like what you listen to. Because like I got notified when Bleachers had a new single and a new video. When I pulled up music, it came down in a tab. I was like, oh, did you know this dropped? And I was like, what?
I'm
So I
sure they have
appreciate
that
that.
functionality. You just need to figure out how to use it.
I'm also an old man and I like to go searching sometimes. So I
We
do.
are also using Apple Music, which like I will not criticize because I'm probably gonna eventually join you over there if things
Hmm.
keep going the way they're going with Spotify. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, sorry, I have my pick from this one, but give me yours, and if it's not the same one, then we'll have two.
Mine would be Presidio.
God. Well,
What?
that's why we're brothers. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then you just pick whatever other one you want. Then that's fine.
No, that was my pick, so you pick your
Oh,
second favorite
okay.
because
Then
this was
let's
your
do.
pick overall.
Um. Oh God. Let's just do the closer, pulling down the moon before
When
you.
in doubt, go with the
Just close it
closer.
out. Yeah.
When in doubt, close it out. All
When
right.
it's when in doubt, get Kier Segwage in there, and you close the case.
You bring in the closure. You bring in the closure. That's what you do.
Get Kevin
Okay,
Bacon's wife, and let's get it done.
we're back over here. Back over here
You're
to
number
my
six.
number six. That is right, sir. Okay. I like how you're doing the dates. I think I'm going to join you in that. Fairly recent release, September 8th, 2023. First time in a long time. Is that right? It had been a minute. Let me get the actual. Oh, not as long as I thought. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
Just a few years break. The latest from the Chemical Brothers. Album's
Oh,
called For That Beautiful Feeling. Just just a blast, man. In lieu of a new full length hot chip record this year, this was my go-to I feel like dancing record. Uh Super fun time. One that I will shout out to you immediately and was I think it was the lead single. They might have dropped one or two before this, I forget. But Skipping Like a Stone, which features Beck. Incredible song. Just beautiful. Uh Super high energy. And I'll also what again, once again, do that closer, which is in fact the title track for That Beautiful Feeling. But yeah, great, great party album. Or the kind of party I want to go to anyways. The kind of dance party I like to enjoy. Uh, but yeah, I don't really have much more
well,
to say about it. Sorry,
okay.
terrible at talking about music.
Yeah, it's
I've
you
had
got
this.
it would
I've done
lend
some
itself better
episodes.
if you could hear it. Fucking
Exactly.
Spotify,
I've done some
jack
episodes
wagons.
this year though with Mr. Nathan Stevens. I don't know if you ever listened to any of those. But
Yeah,
my
I
buddy
listened
who
to
I
them.
met down here, who is a musician in his own right, worked for NPR. He's got his own music podcast. Very eloquent. Can go deep on subgenres and comparisons and music history, etc. And same thing. I tell him constantly. I'm just like, I just don't. I, I feel like, oh, I like when the thing goes
Right. Yeah.
blah
No.
blah blah. I feel like
So
such an
that
idiot talking
okay.
about music. I truly do. I think that's why over time I've almost been like, dude, can we stop doing these? Because
Right. But
I
like the
love
way that
music so much and I love sharing albums and stuff with you. But I'm like, how is this compelling? How is this compelling? I'm like, we can't play it and I can't talk about it. It's great. listen to it. Please listen to it on the companion podcast.
Yeah. Well, I
Please
mean,
get two phones and two sets of headphones and go back and forth, dude, and sync it up. Do a lot of
yeah,
extra work for no
of course.
reason.
It's like a self-help book. You got to do half of the shit. Um, no, that what you just described, that is me listening to all the Y albums that you made me listen to. Like you understood them, you were
I
getting
mean,
in
that
there
whole
with
endeavor.
everything.
I mean,
Yeah.
do you have any idea how like I'm so happy we did that, and yet the fact that it's out there in the world still like makes me cringe because I'm like there's probably so many people who were gracious enough to listen to that episode and were just like these fucking idiots, dude. They don't know shit about this band. Like, you know, they're not real fans, whatever. Because there's people who go way deeper than I do. And it's just like I
Did
know
you
I
hear
messed
from
up
any of
stuff.
them?
No.
Any of them? Yeah. So fuck them. They don't exist. I say let them crash.
I say let them crash. They open their they open their podcast app of choice, whether it
They
be Apple
followed Yoni
Music or
Wolf. They
Spotify.
saw the podcast was coming. They subscribed and they listened.
I say,
I say let their ears bleed.
okay, we cannot get side. We're entering the top five.
All
Is
right,
that
top five.
correct?
Let's roll. You ready?
Okay, we got to crank this out before the recording ends. It's
Here
a
we go.
rule.
All right. April 30, the album title. 4/23, the artist, Mr. Mike Dean. We talked about him earlier in the year on The Idol. We talked about how he's just all about getting, you know, lighting up and just making dope electronic
Bob
music. It's been
Blazin.
around for years. And I think it's poignant that this is the third one. The first one a while back was 420. Then we had I think it's 422, and then that's 423. I think God, I can't remember what it was. But anyway, um, yeah. So one of those guys, I was like, how did I not know who this person was? But then I realized, oh no, I've heard a ton of his music. It was never crossed my mind that
These are all
it was him.
instrumentals, correct?
There's a couple with the weekend. One called, believe it or not, Cocaine, has him, um,
Am I on the
singing
right
over stuff.
album?
Or
You
no,
said
More Coke is the
420.
name. Or 23.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
He's not listed here, but I guess he's just
He's not, but
featured.
it's his voice on More Coke.
But they're mostly instrumentals.
Yeah, for the most part. This is
Okay.
you
Well,
could
give me.
argue that like
Oh my God.
this is the album they were making while they were doing
While
the
they were
Idol.
doing the
Yeah.
idol. Okay,
Yeah.
give me an
Artificial
instrumental.
Intelligence and More Coke. Those would be the two that I would put on there.
Okay.
But the whole thing is great. So really go check it out.
I'm getting
You're listening
excited.
to something I
Yeah.
can't hear it.
Yeah, I don't know how much that's coming through. Never mind.
No.
I don't know how much it was coming through earlier either, but okay. Mike
Yeah.
Dean, cracking the top five.
Mm-hmm.
Congrats.
I'll let him know you said
We'll,
that.
we'll see how the idol fares on our on our TV episode.
Oh, don't you worry.
Well, I'm not worried at all, brother. My number five is called Everything is Alive from the band Slow Dive. Did you listen to this one, brother?
No, I have no idea what you're talking
I
about.
feel like this would be right up your alley. Uh, just incredible vibes. I don't know if you listen to much what it gets classified as shoegaze. Very like guitar heavy, lots of distortion, but Slow Dive pairs that with some just like very like laid back, nice, what you would consider like nice 80s driving music type vocals. I so
Okay.
badly want to play you the song Kisses right now, which I can't do. So you're gonna just have to go over to the playlist and listen to it there. Uh, but yeah, great album, great record. I think they are like back after a bit of a break there, I believe. If I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Never mind. 2017. I keep saying this about people. You know, I don't know. They're very big within their scene. They're one of those bands I was always aware of, but never really put in the time with. But my bosses at work are big Slow Dive fans, and they were like, "Hey, they just put out a new one. You got to check this out." And I was not disappointed. As you can see, cracked my top five. That's Everything Is Alive. The band is Slow Dive.
All right. On to my number
I
four.
that is genuinely of the stuff I've listed so far. Obviously, I know you're going to check out the Andre 3000 record, but
Yeah.
uh, that's my big recommend for you.
Okay.
Honestly, is the Slow Dive record. Check that out. Okay,
I
you're
definitely
number
will.
four.
My number four came out on the 15th of September. It is a one-word title, like most of these. It is called End, and the band is Explosions in the Sky.
Just right on the tippity tip of my list.
Yeah.
It's my number 11
It
in my
is
honorable
indeed, it is
mentions.
not the end of the band. It is just the
That's just
title they came
what
up
it's
with.
called because it's
And it
what
is
it sounds like.
to me it is a return to form. I didn't really get into the scores that they did for like Lone Survivor and some other stuff. It's really crazy that I feel like it was yesterday, but I believe it's what is it? Um, yeah, take care 2011 that
Yeah,
that came out, and that's kind of the last time I remember them sounding like they sound now. It's not a bad thing that they kind of experimented, but like I'm not gonna say, obviously every record's different, but you can draw a link from like, oh, these are the Friday Night Lights guys. If that's where your head is when you hear that name and you listen to this, you're like, oh yeah, they've grown up, they've matured, they've figured out, they're playing better than ever, but it's still that same vibe and it's still that same tone where it's just all these different like, I don't know, I feel like you can sit and listen to them and there's just you can experience every spectrum on the emotional scale effortlessly, especially when they are hitting these certain things with this sort of like heavy rock, somewhat distorted, like that vibe. Some of the other stuff they've done for scores, I can appreciate it. It's just not been things that I'm like, oh, I gotta hear that. And so when I saw this one was there, I was like, let me see, and it
you're
instantly
like, oh
it
yeah,
transported me back.
yeah.
It's like I used to talk about all the time. You listen to somebody, they're on repeat 24/7. Slowly, one by one, you get down to one track, and then you forget, and then it's like a 3 4 years later, and it's like, oh, didn't they do? Oh, fuck, they did this, and you just rediscover them all over again, and then you find out on top of it. Oh, and by the way, they also have new music for you to go listen to. Oh, and it's almost like they didn't have this weird break where they played a bunch of different and scored a bunch of different stuff. So yeah, and Exposures in the Sky, definitely check it out. That was my number
Yeah,
three
I'm
or
going
four.
with
Sorry, my number four.
10 billion people, the opener, and the fight, which you may or
Yes,
may not be hearing a little bit of right now.
I can't. I'm not saying that the recording is, but it's not coming through to me. But that doesn't mean it's not showing up on the
Who knows?
actual thing. Who knows?
Who who could tell? Who can say?
Who's to say I don't know?
Okay. Great pick. So again, I mean, some crossover. We were listening to some of the same stuff, maybe
Yeah.
even at the same time. My number four. This one I think you might enjoy. This one I'm gonna make an effort to actually play a little bit of over the airwaves there. Uh, hopefully it doesn't blow out like my end of the speaker, but we'll see. New discovery for me this year. Just straight, as much as I hate Spotify, every once in a while they give you a little treat. Something gets recommended to you that you're just like, oh, you did a good job. That's right up my alley. The album is from Tobor Experiment, and it is called Available Forms. But yet
I
you
got
can
nothing.
but yet you can hear me talking right now.
Uh huh.
Can you hear me talking right now?
I sure can.
What about now?
Definitely.
Right here?
Uh-huh.
Really good?
Really good. I don't know
Interesting.
what's going on. Honestly, I'm serious. I couldn't hear you. I haven't been if you've been playing music at all, I haven't heard it. It could be this setup because I'm on this tablet thing and it's just not like conducive to come through, but I can't I hadn't heard a thing.
I just hope it's
I only
actually
picking up
pulling
vocals.
audio from my mic and not from my laptop and that it sounds good.
No, when you are talking into the mic there, I hear you perfectly in my ears like you're
Okay.
sitting across from me.
All
I
right. This
promise.
is we're losing time. This is boring technical stuff. Sorry. I will stop trying to play music.
It's
It's a
okay.
natural instinct, but it's
Of course.
futile. It's futile here. The album is called Available Forms. Uh the opener that I was playing you there is called Low Pass Risotto. It sounds like the soundtrack to like a really nifty, like late 60s, early 70s spy thriller that has maybe like a space or sci-fi element to it. Uh
Hmm.
can I show you the here? You see the you see the album
Oh
cover?
yeah, man.
You
Yeah,
get the
okay.
vibes. You
Yeah,
get the vibes.
just in the font alone, I think I know what I'm getting into.
Um, but yeah, it's like it's what you would assume would be playing in like a cool like cocktail lounge on Venus or something. It's so fucking cool and chill. I've had it on repeat uh, since I discovered it several months ago. It came out in August of this year, August
Cool.
25th. Uh, just top to bottom, absolutely love it. Low Pass Risotto, the opener. And I will also throw on there Moonscape Dust. Uh, but yeah, great album. We got 10 minutes. Can we do it in
We
10
can
minutes,
do it. Let's
brother?
do this.
We
I can
can
burn
do
through
it.
my last three real
We're
quick.
going to the top three. The top three.
A top three. All right. My number three came out on the June 16th. The album title is just simply called Michael, and it's by Killer Mike. Uh,
Continue.
I I'm happy to have his own as much as you resist the urge to be like, oh, what about Run the Jewels? But I think it's only natural that after all the time they've spent conquering and dominating the world and just shitting on everybody, that they take a break and do some solo stuff. Anybody who knows them knows famously that like that was the entire, you know, uh, beginning of them was like, let's meet to talk about possibly recording an album together, you producing, and the next thing you know, bam, they create the biggest rap supergroup of all time. But it is nice to see Killer Mike to get back. It's almost like he left Atlanta to go do this Run the Jewels thing all over the world. It's almost like a homecoming album. Like one of my favorite parts, not necessarily in the like as the song I would recommend, but like there's just a little tiny word clip at the end of Down by Law. He's like, "This shit is so Atlanta," and I'm like, this guy, he's just having a good time, man. Like he's coming back to his city, and not like he's been gone or anything, but like he's just this is him doing his thing. If I'm gonna recommend anything, Scientists and Engineers with Andre 3000, um, and uh,
I have Down by Law, Scientists and
Down by
Engineers on
yeah,
there. And
yeah,
then I like Spaceship Views quite a bit as
yeah,
well. We'll
that's a
throw
good one
that
too.
on there. Um, a record I liked a lot, but I did not love, and I wanted to love it. Here's my big issue. I feel like the features kind of drown out what was pitched to me as this is me. This is Michael. This is the most personal thing I've made because I think some people are not on theme, dude. I feel like some people did not understand the assignment, and maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I need to give it a few more listens. But there's these moments where I feel like some of the features go off into like left field, and I'm just it to me, it's like, what are we doing here? Like it loses the focus or the punch of, you know, what he was doing. I don't know.
Mhm.
And so I think it's a little oversaturated with the features is kind of my issue. For an album called Michael, I wanted a little more Michael. But can't disagree with it. Again, it's in my honorable mentions. It's outside there. But
Yeah,
yeah, I knew you would have it. Very glad to see it represented. My number three is Sus Dog from the artist known as Clark. I've talked about it earlier. It's been discussed on my episodes with Nate Stevens. So go back and check those out. Uh, but yeah, he collaborated with Tom York, who's kind of the unofficial second producer on this, and is featured many times vocally. Great electronic record, but not the best electronic record of the year, baby. That's at my number one slot. We'll talk about it in a second.
All
Your number
right.
two.
My number two is the oldest one on this list. It came out March 17th. The name of the album is Fantasy, and the group is called M83, otherwise known as that Midnight City song you hear in every commercial and store you go into, and you just love it. But yeah, super surprised about this. Didn't really know it was coming
I
out.
I feel like I had earmarked this and am realizing this always happens. And I'm glad we
Mhm.
had at least one this year. I'm
Yeah,
realizing I never listened to it.
no, it's so
When did
good,
it
dude.
come
Just
out?
March 17th. It's the earliest one on my list. So, is that St. Patty's Day?
That might be.
That might be why, yeah. You're too busy having too much fun. But anyway, yeah,
Apparently.
you can literally I don't care. You pick whatever. You listen to this Joker and you'd pick the two because I would put any one of these up there. I mean, it's the second best electronic, whatever you want to call it, of the year for me. And I think that now you already have a good idea where I'm going for number one. But let's get your
Sorry.
number two.
Can you tell me again what your picks were for this one?
Oh, I told you just to listen and pick them, but I'll give you two. Amnesia
I need them for
and
the playlist, bro.
okay, Amnesia and Fantasy, the
This
title track.
see, I can't believe I can't believe you're okay with this album cover and you're not all about tobacco. This shit's haunting in the best way. Look at this. This is fucking creepy as hell. It's great.
It is creepy
This
as
is
hell,
great. Okay.
but it's not moving. It's going to transition into something different
All
and
right.
scare
My
me.
number two, the latest and almost greatest addition to the list happened just a week or two ago. It is the original score for How Do You Live, also known as The Boy and the Heron by Joe Hisashi. This is the latest Hayao Miyazaki Studio Ghibli movie, and it is an absolute knockout of a score. Like the most hauntingly beautiful, gorgeous, like elegant shit I've heard in a long time. He's done many amazing scores, but this shit's like next level. If it doesn't win at the Oscars, I'm gonna be very upset. Just totally great in isolation, married with the actual film itself, completely transcendent. Just an absolute gorgeous work of art and emotion, and just it's so fucking beautiful. I love it so much, but it's still my number two. You're your number one, brother. Unless you
My
want to
number
save it,
one,
even though we know what it is, and I think
yeah, I mean,
and everybody who's actually listens to the show already knows what mine is. So you want to say them simultaneously with 3 minutes left on the
yeah,
clock?
sure. Ready? We're just going to give the date. It came out on the 29th of September. And you want to do the title, I'll do the band, or I'll do the title, you do the band?
Oh, I mean, they're not the same record, but
Oh,
no, it's not Synergy.
oh, it isn't. What's your number one? Then what's your number one?
My number one is Radical Romantics by Fever Ray,
Oh, okay.
the album I've been ranting about like all year.
Oh, well, my number one is Unicorn from Gunship.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So
Great
they're not the
record.
same.
I was not going to steal it or put it earlier on the list and have you have to table your number one. That's why it's not on my
That's
list. Like
oh, okay. So you just
strictly
do
on
me a favor.
strictly on principle. I This was a great
Okay.
record. I had a fantastic time with it.
But would you put it on your number? Would it be number one if I wasn't going to pick it? Or
It
would
wouldn't
you?
be number one.
Okay,
It would
that's all I want to hear.
probably be in like the six or seven slot, somewhere in
Okay.
there.
So you're telling me I need to go listen to this one, your number one, which is what again?
The album is called Radical Romantics and the artist is Fever Ray. I
Okay.
saw them earlier this year in Chicago. It was life changing. It was incredible. Uh,
Did I take care of your cat that time too?
yeah, I don't know. You
I've done it
may have checked.
twice.
Yeah, you definitely did because I was in
That was probably the
Chicago.
first time. and then the
Uh,
other show was the second time.
Incredible record. Go check out the teaser tracks on the playlist, and please listen to this one start to finish. I feel like you would go for it. I feel like it
I
would be up
might,
your alley.
I
But
could
yeah,
do
I
that.
think not only the best electronic record of the year, in my personal opinion, but just one of my favorite records in recent memory. Like if I was comparing it to my other recent like top tens or number ones from the last couple years, it tops all of them. It's an all timer record for me, like out of the
Okay,
gate.
okay,
Uh,
better than a deeper understanding.
my favorite album since A Deeper Understanding. How about
Okay,
that?
all right,
How
I'm
about
sold.
that? How
Was it
about
arts? I'm sold.
that?
I'm
All right.
sold. Just a second.
We got a minute left on the clock. I feel like we had a great time talking music. Sorry for
Throw,
any weird
throw,
audio shit.
throw Tech Noir 2 up there, will you? For
Oh,
the gunship.
Gunship's gonna get like 5 tracks,
Okay,
and
good. Yeah, just
same
half the
thing
album. It's
with
fine.
Radical Romantics.
Okay, good. All right. Well,
Absolutely.
then
It's
I'll
the only
dip
way
my
to do it.
toes in with that, and I'll definitely check out the whole thing.
And I got to
And
go listen to M83 now. That's my
yeah,
big. I
it's
missed out
so
on that.
good. You'll
Okay,
love it.
we had a great time. We'll be back
This
very
was great.
soon with our TV episode. Thank you for listening. We've been the Blanchard Brothers, and this has been the ARK of E podcast.
You've been listening to what we've been listening to,
You got it.
because that's entertainment. All right, so I'm gonna
That's
take
for
off.
movie shit. That's for movie shit.
It's still entertaining. All right, I'm gonna take off, go to the bathroom, relieve myself a little bit. Now we'll get back
Yeah,
at
we're gonna take a
television.
break. We're gonna take a break.
It's a small break.
Take a break.